There's a terrifying kind of power you're wielding right now, quietly, automatically, without effort, without awareness. It's not your motivation. It's not your discipline. And no, it's not the manifestation hacks they're selling you on TikTok. It's far more fundamental than that. It's your focus. That seemingly harmless thing, what your eyes land on, what your mind returns to, what your emotions cling to. It's shaping the architecture of your life, brick by invisible brick. And you probably haven't even noticed. Not metaphorically, literally. Focus is not just attention, it's construction. What you focus on begins to shape your internal world, which in turn filters your external one. And here's the catch. Most people are unconsciously investing all their focus in things they don't want. Pain, absence, rejection, the past. They're not distracted. They're disciplined, just focused on the wrong thing with stunning consistency. But there's a blind spot no one talks about. A psychological distortion baked into your perception. You think you're being realistic. You think you're analyzing your life logically. But in truth, your focus is being silently hijacked by emotional residue, old wounds, unresolved memories, narratives you never questioned but built your identity around. Here's the harsh truth. If your focus is being shaped by emotional echoes instead of conscious intention, your reality isn't really yours. It's just a projection of your past wearing the mask of the present. In this video, we're not going to preach toxic positivity or tell you to ignore your problems. We're going to dissect the mechanics of perception, how the smallest pivot in where you aim your attention can start rewiring your inner world. Because until you become aware of what you're looking at, you can't choose what to build. And that's where the shift begins. Section 1. The filter that shapes your world. You don't see the world as it is. You see it as you are. That's not poetic. That's biological. Deep in your brainstem is a network called the reticular activating system, RAS. And it acts like a silent editor, cutting reality down to the pieces it thinks you care about. You're bombarded by millions of sensory signals every second. You don't get overwhelmed because your RAS filters out the noise, but it does so based on what it thinks matters to you. Not what's true, not what's healthy, just what's familiar, repetitive, emotionally charged, or tied to your beliefs. If you've ever learned a new word and suddenly start seeing it everywhere, that's not the universe sending signs. It's your RAS, now tuned into that signal. They don't teach you this in school, but it's the root of every self-fulfilling prophecy. If someone grows up believing they're invisible, their RAS will highlight every moment they're ignored and delete every moment they're seen. And they'll swear life is proof of their unworthiness. If you believe people can't be trusted, your brain will collect evidence of betrayal with forensic precision, while filtering out moments of kindness, nuance, or contradiction. This is not conscious. This is not malicious. It's your brain's loyalty to your internal world. A loyalty so fierce it will sacrifice truth to preserve belief. That's not just cognitive bias. That's existential reinforcement. You, right now, are living in a custom simulation, designed by your focus, powered by your beliefs, and repeated until it becomes your reality. And what's tragic is that most people don't even realize they're doing it. They mistake repetition for truth. But here's the uncomfortable psychological truth. Your brain doesn't care about what's real. It cares about what's repeated. It prioritizes familiarity over accuracy. That means if you've spent years focusing on lack, self-doubt, or rejection, your filter will keep pulling those patterns into view, even if your circumstances change. your internal lens will find a way to bend every moment back to the old narrative. And you'll think life hasn't changed. But it has. You just haven't updated your filter. But there's power in this too. Because if your brain can be trained to reinforce pain, it can also be trained to reinforce progress. You're not trapped. The RAS isn't a prison, it's a spotlight. And like any spotlight, you can turn it. You can condition it to highlight opportunity instead of loss, healing instead of hurt, growth instead of grief. This isn't wishful thinking, it's cognitive programming. And it starts with small, intentional shifts in what you decide to notice. Not what you feel like noticing, what you train yourself to notice. Because attention, over time, becomes identity. And identity becomes destiny. And if your identity is being shaped by what you've been taught to look for, the real question is, who's doing the teaching? Let's go deeper. Let's talk about the hidden war over your attention. Section 2. Why you're addicted to the wrong focus. The harsh reality is this. Focusing on negativity isn't just habitual, it's addictive. It gives you the illusion of control, the comforting sense that you're doing something about your problems. When you focus on what's wrong, you feel active, like you're engaged in a fight. But in truth, you're not fighting anything. You're spinning in place. The brain loves patterns, even the painful ones, because they offer predictability. And with predictability comes a false sense of safety. In an uncertain world, your brain will choose a familiar pain over an unfamiliar peace. It's almost as if your mind believes that by focusing on the chaos, it can somehow avoid it, like staring at a storm to prevent it from hitting you. They'll tell you that peace is the ultimate goal, but here's the ugly truth. Your mind is so attached to the chaos, it feels like a loss to let it go. Peace feels too quiet, too still, almost like a void. It's the familiarity of your emotional storms that makes them feel so real. And when that storm isn't brewing, you might feel an unsettling emptiness, as if you're not truly alive without the constant churn of drama. It's in these moments of stillness that you begin to see just how much you've become dependent on the noise. The brain doesn't mind chaos as long as it's predictable, even if it ultimately leaves you exhausted and empty. You might think you want peace, but your actions reveal otherwise. You say you're seeking harmony, but when you stare into the quiet, something within you sabotages it, pulling you back into the very conflict you claim to despise. The truth is, you keep feeding the fire, throwing logs onto the flames of your own distress, just because it feels familiar. You might not realize it, but your mind craves the agitation, the drama, the emotional highs and lows. These mental loops of rumination and self-doubt offer you the illusion of movement, but they're just noise. This constant mental chatter doesn't solve problems. It merely distracts you from facing the deeper, uncomfortable truths. The shift begins when you realize something profound. Not everything needs to be healed. Not every emotional wound needs to be revisited. Some things need nothing more than to be starved of attention. By withdrawing your focus from certain negative patterns, you slowly deprive them of the energy that keeps them alive. It's not about fixing every flaw or addressing every trauma. It's about recognizing which battles are worth fighting and which ones are just distractions. Your power lies in choosing where your attention goes. And in some cases, your real work is learning to walk away from the things that keep you stuck. Now that you're aware of this pattern, it's time to explore how this focus shapes your internal world. Let's dive into how your attention can be better managed, so you can begin transforming the noise into clarity. Section 3. Your identity is being shaped by attention. The way you see yourself, your identity, isn't some fixed truth. It's fluid, shaped by what you choose to pay attention to. Every day you're constructing your self-image, brick by brick, through your focus. If you constantly fixate on the things you lack, your mistakes, your flaws, that's the version of yourself that emerges. You start to believe that your failures define you. This isn't a reflection of who you truly are, but rather a distorted narrative built from a series of repeated thoughts. The more you concentrate on these negative aspects, the more they become etched into the foundation of your self-concept, reinforcing a version of you that is incomplete, fragmented, and full of doubt. But here's where the power lies. The strongest version of yourself, the one capable of greatness, the one filled with resilience and strength, is already within you. They've always been there. The problem is, you haven't been paying attention to them. Your focus has been hijacked by the distractions, the imperfections, and the emotional storms. You've been searching for answers in the wrong places. What if the key to becoming your best self isn't about chasing some distant ideal or fixing everything that feels broken? What if it's about turning your attention towards the strengths, the wisdom, and the potential that have always existed, just hidden beneath layers of neglect? The strategy for transformation doesn't require you to fix yourself. Instead, you need to interrupt the old patterns that keep you tethered to self-doubt and limitation. It's not about making drastic changes overnight. It's about shifting your mental spotlight to the parts of you that are capable, whole, and powerful. Every moment spent focusing on what's wrong is another moment lost in the fog of your own limitations. By choosing to redirect your attention, you begin to dissolve the mental barriers that have kept you in a constant state of disempowerment. Ultimately, focus is a superpower. It's not dramatic or flashy, but its potential is liberating. When you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your energy. You take back control of your life by deciding where it goes. The truth is, nothing about your external circumstances needs to change for this to happen. You can begin right now, in this very moment, by simply choosing what you give your focus to. That choice will shape the future version of you in ways you can't even yet imagine. In this newfound clarity, it's time to explore the real cost of misdirected focus. Let's dive deeper into how these shifts in attention affect the quality of your life on a profound, subconscious level.